Thanks to USA Today for the heads up. For all their differences, NBC newsman Tim Russert and famed marathoner Jim Fixx, author of the 1977 bestseller The Complete Book of Running, have two things in common. Each died of a massive heart attack while still in his 50s. Neither one saw it coming. Russert, 58, died Friday while recording voiceovers for Meet the Press, anchored, as usual, to a desk. Fixx, 52, died on July 20th, 1984, after a daily run in rural Hardwick, Vermont. Such cases provide tragic proof that though you can lower your risk of sudden death, you can't always prevent it, says Robert Califf, Vice Chancellor of Clinical Research at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. No one ever has. Wow, death happens. Imagine that. I've always wondered why every 4 years Democrats are invited to speak at black churches and no liberals are ever heard screaming, "Separation of church and state." A couple of years ago, I asked a local pastor if I could speak to his congregation, was told I could, as long as I took it outside. Something about his church's tax-exempt status and no politicizing of sermons. If that's the case, why do Democrats get away with it every 4 years? Under the Internal Revenue Code, all Section 501c3 organizations are absolutely prohibited from directly or indirectly participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for elective public office. Contributions to political campaign funds or public statements of position, verbal or written, made on behalf of the organization in favor of or in opposition to any candidate for public office clearly violate the prohibition against political campaign activity. Violating this prohibition may result in denial or revocation of tax-exempt status and the imposition of certain excise taxes. This seems very clear. I would hope someone would soon explain this to the Democrats. What do they know we don't? Denver police are stocking up on guns that fire a pepper spray-like substance instead of bullets, a less lethal weapon used to disperse crowds in advance of the Democratic National Convention. Cool. Al Gore has people all over the world scared about the planet's future. He's got the world sacrificing and going green. Everyone is expected to sacrifice. Everyone except Al Gore. Some of you may remember last year Gore was busted using 20 times as much power for his home as the average American family uses in a year. It would appear Al Gore hasn't ramped things down. In the years since Al Gore took steps to make his home more energy efficient, the former vice president's home energy has surged more than 10%, according to the Tennessee Center for Policy Research. A man's commitment to his beliefs is best measured by what he does behind the closed doors of his home, said Drew Johnson, president of the Tennessee Center for Policy Research. Al Gore is a hypocrite and a fraud when it comes to his commitment to the environment, judging by his home energy consumption. In the past year, Gore's home burned through 213,210 kilowatt hours of electricity, enough to power 232 average American households for a month. Hypocrisy, thy name is Gore. What's in the water in Bristol, Connecticut? Previously, we had Dana Jacobson, who couldn't keep her hatred of touchdown Jesus to herself. Granted, ESPN is Olbermann-free, but they seem to have a serious problem with their out-of-control, big-mouth sports babes. Rooting for the Celtics is like saying Hitler was a victim. It's like hoping Gorbachev would get to the blinking red button before Reagan. ESPN has apologized, sanitized the offending lines from her column, The Web, and I'm sure she now considers herself a victim of a rape and lynching by the man. But I'm sorry, she writes like an angry, whiny women's studies grad. Rooting for the Celtics is like supporting inflation, unemployment, and locusts. It's like praying for Eva Mendes to get married and for Brad Pitt to be disfigured. It's like wishing dollar bills and free time for Pac-Man Jones. It's like hoping the pit bull doesn't take Michael Vick's pinky as a memento. It's like wanting Ron Artest's raps on repeat. It's like coveting fungus. So much for a thoughtful analysis. If Jemele Hill wrote this and were a white male, she would have been fired already. But in the world we live in today, should she be fired, Al Sharpton will be her lead public defender. Hill wrote, "It's not all about race," and then went off on Boston as a racist city. Currently, I'm fresh out of hatred, so let me know if you have ideas, so I can bear the nausea of seeing the Celtics rise again because they've jump-started my hate cable, which hasn't been this revved up since the late 80s. Maybe while loaded up with red wine and trail mix, Hill will reflect on her hate. However, as of now, everyone has apologized except her. Maybe she can lament her victim status during her suspension. If he can get a senior post in an Obama, that's a tough one. If he can get a senior post in an Obama, if he can get a senior post in an Obama. A couple of years ago, I asked the local pastor if I could speak to his congregation, and I was told, something about his church's a less lethal weapon used to disperse clouds. A least... it probably could be from like gasoline gas. Yeah, it's probably the exhaust from the truck. Is it his kids? Kids smell. It's like wanting Ron Artest's